Afternoon to first of all, am I audible? So please respond. Am I audible? Okay, we'll continue whatever in the last class from where we left. I hope everybody is present or somebody may having some tech during the class. Is cleared. So in the last class, we have discussed about uh, levels of abstraction and data independence. So levels of abstraction in the sense hiding the irrelevant details to the end user or displaying only essential things to the end user. Whatever needed, those are only displayed. And this levels of abstraction is provided in three different levels. One is physical level, logical level, and external level. So external level is separate for each and everyone. It is different for everyone, and the logical level shows what data is actually stored, and the physical level describes how data is actually stored in the database. And because of this, or through these levels of abstraction, we are going to achieve data independence. Data independence. That means if any changes at one level, that may not affecting the another level. That may not affecting the another level. And you can have two different types of independence. One is physical data independence. Another one is logical data independence. So physical data independence. So you can change the storage structure without changing the data objects or database values. So you can change the data storage devices from hard disk to solid state drives to CD drives and flash drives like so without changing the content of a database. So that is physical data independence. Physical data independence. So logical data independence in the sense. So we will change the database definitions. We will change the database definitions without changing the data in the database. Without changing the data in the database. So the user can view whatever here the view in the previously, the same thing can be applied to the user. So even though you are doing some modification to the table or database objects, the view of the user may not be affected. So that is the logical data independence. Logical data independence. And next one, how this data is maintained. So for maintaining the data in the database, we need some models. So we may not directly store the data in the database. So first we need to analyze the content. Then uh, you need to extract some real world entities or objects. So those objects can be turned into some pictorial representation, and this pictorial representations into some implementable concepts. So this is the procedure. So to do all these things, so to gather data and their relationships, to maintain the data relationships and their semantics and consistency constraints among them, so all these are represented with a simple model, with a simple thing. So that is called a data model. So on data model, not only representing so data, relationships, and constraints and semantics. It also specifies how to store, retrieve, and how to use the data is all maintained, all specified by using data models. Data models, and we have uh, two different types of models are there. One is object-based models, another one is record-based models. So in object-based, so there is no fixed format at all. There is no fixed format at all, and here everything is conceptual. Everything is in conceptual. That means only pen and paper work. So the best example for object-based model is ER diagram, entity relationship diagram. So here everything is represented in the form of pictures. Everything is represented in the form of pictures. And these pictures are turned into some implementable concepts. So those are represented by using record-based logical models. So record-based logical models in the sense they have some fixed format for representing the data. So whatever the data we have represented are collected at first level in object-based models. So that should be turned into some format. So which is suitable for storing, which is suitable for storing. So that is record-based logical model. So here we can represent the data in different ways by using a different models. One is network model, hierarchical model, relational model, flat model. So like different models are available. So among all these, the most well-known model is relational model. And the remaining network model, hierarchical model also familiar, but nowadays they are not used. So in the earlier days they have used. So before relational model, so people are extensively used this network model and hierarchical model. And the network model stores the data in the form of graphs, and hierarchical model stores the data in the form of tree structure, whereas relational model uses a fixed structure called table. That means all the entire data is stored in the form of rows and columns. Rows and columns. So here these are the three different models or well-known models for storing the data, for representing the data in a database. So now we'll see how the data is represented in network model and hierarchical model. So here everything is represented in the form of trees and graphs. So graph is nothing but, so it's a cycle. So whereas tree is nothing but without having any cycles. So if you're representing something without having any cycles, that is called tree. If you are having any cycle, so that is called graph. So here in tree structure, or the data is represented from higher level to lower level. So by using some pointers. So first we are trying to show some, we're trying to represent some shoes data. So shoes data, generally shoes. So shoes are two different categories. You can categorize them women's shoes and men's shoes. So that shoes is the first point. So which pointing to another two categories, women's shoes and men's shoes. And women's shoes are again categorized into high heels, bellies, like different values. So here high heels and bellies are the two things which pointing to women's shoes. Next one, men's shoes are comes under, so sports shoes, sneakers, like normal casual shoes, like different categories are available. So here everything is represented in the form of tree. So top level. So here shoes are called root. So from the root there are two different childs. So women's shoes and men's shoes. And next one, this women's shoes are again acts as a root for another two more childs, that is high heels and bellies. High heels and bellies. So here high heels and bellies, these are pointing to the women's shoes. So again same manner, women's shoes are again categorized into sports shoes and sneakers. So this is the way you can represent the data in hierarchical model. Suppose what is the disadvantage in this? So we need some pointers here. Shoes, so pointing to two things, one is women's shoes, another one is men's shoes. Suppose women's shoes again pointing to another two things, high heels and bellies. So here if there is any uh, corruption, or if any pointer is corrupted, what is happening? So the entire data is corrupted. Suppose if there is a link missing between women's shoes, so that means if there is a link missing for women's shoes, what is happening? So these high heels and bellies are orphans. So we cannot extract them by using shoes. So to extract heels, from this data, so first you need to know shoes. So from shoes to, you can go through the women's shoes. So from the women's shoes you can get high heels. Suppose whenever a pointer is missing for women's shoes, automatically the remaining childs are become orphans. So we cannot extract them. This link is missing. That means the entire data is collapsed. So we cannot extract them. So that's why. So these are somewhat typical to maintain. And when you are working with pointers, so you must be careful because they are dealing with some memories. That's why even though you can easily retrieve the data from a tree structure, faster access is there, but if there is any pointer is missing, so automatically the remaining data will not be accessible. So the database is corrupted. So that is the disadvantage in hierarchical model. So to eliminate all this, we go for this relational model. Relational model. So this is about hierarchical model. So I think, are you follow? Are you understand this? So please respond through the chat box. So whether it is understandable or not. So, or shall we repeat it again? So generally, a data is in hierarchical model. A data is represented in tree structure. So that tree structure contains every tree having some child node. Suppose shoes is the root node. So from root node we have two different childs. One is women's, another one is men's. For women's, so again there are two children. So one is high heels, another one is bails, another one is bellies. So in the same manner for men's category. So here what is the advantage in this hierarchical model is a data can be accessed in a faster manner. So that is the advantage. So because by going through these pointers, by going through these links, we'll simply access the data in a faster manner. But the disadvantage is if there is any link is missing, any pointer is missing, so that ultimately collapses the entire database. So whenever women's shoes pointer is missing, so then we are unable to access high heels and bellies because the link is detached. So that's why the entire database is unusable. So that's why you must be careful about going for this hierarchical model and network model. And how to eliminate this? So we are eliminating this by using a simple methodology called relational model. I hope everybody understands. So if you have any doubt regarding this hierarchical model, so you please go through the chat box messages. So I will try to clarify your doubts. If anybody, anyone respond from ECE or EEE, so whether it is okay or not, or shall we repeat it again? Please respond. Anyone? Anyone from? Okay, okay, ma. Am I audible? Is it clear? Okay, I hope everybody understands this. Okay, thank you, ma. Now we'll move on to this another topic. So here, what we have discussed here, and the relational model is free from pointers because if any pointer is missing, so the entire database is collapsed. So now, what is relational model? So here, a relational model is nothing but a collection of relations. So here, everything is maintained in the form of a relation. So in the case of hierarchical model and network model, data is represented in the form of tree structure or graph structure. So that is the format. So already we have seen record based models maintaining the format for data. So what is that format here? In hierarchical, it is tree structure. In graph, it is in network structure, it is graph. So like in relational model, so data is organized in the form of relations. So relation is nothing but a table. A relation is nothing but table. That means that the entire data is maintained in different tables, and these tables are connected with the help of some constraints. So now, if you are observing here, there is a simple relation called sensor data. There is a simple relation called sensor data, which contains four different columns. So here in relational model, the format is relation. So relation is also called as table. So table consists of rows and columns. So columns are nothing but the actual headers, whereas rows for representing the original data. So here our relational model having relations. So here we are trying to understand this relational model with a simple table. that is sensor data. Sensor data. So here our sensor data contains 4 columns. So these columns are also called as attributes. Columns are also called as attributes. Whenever you are using a term relation, you can use attributes. You can use attributes. So here in our table consists of 4 attributes or 4 columns, that is ID, sensor ID, time and value, at what time you are going to use. So here the actual data is 1, 1 or 1, 3, 10, 14.3, like these are the actual values. So here the rows are nothing but tuples. The rows are nothing but tuples. So here values are nothing but attribute values. Attribute values are column values. So this is a manner we will represent the data in relational table, a relational model. So in relational model is nothing but a collection of relations, and a relation consists of tuples and attributes. Tuples and attributes. So attributes in the sense columns, tuples in the sense rows, and a tuple or row is a combination of different column values of one real world object. For example, you can also take, suppose if I wanted to maintain student data, if I wanted to maintain a student data, so what are the attributes you can represent? So every student has student ID, student name, address, so like different values. So the same thing can also be represented. Suppose we'll see with a simple example how to represent this student data by using this relation. So we'll please wait 1 minute. I'll open a simple application. So here we are trying to store the student data in the form of relation, in the form of relation. So relation is nothing but one table, whereas student is nothing but one real world object. So by using this relational model, we are trying to store the real world objects data in the form of relations, in the form of relations. So our real world object is student. So here it is student. So now we'll increase the size. Here our real world object is student. So here every real world object having some attributes, having some attributes. So what are the attributes for this? So for every student having student ID, student ID, and next one he's also having some name, student name, and next one his address, his address, and also you can maintain his mobile number. So like you can define a different types of attributes. So how to represent this information in a relation or in a relational model? So by using one table. So here our table name is student. So here our table name, the real world object name is turned into a relation name or table name, and all the attributes, so SID, S name, address, mobile, are turned into columns or attributes of a relation. So now we will create a simple table. So here our table name is student, and the attributes are 4 attributes: SID, S name, address, Next one, mobile. These are the attributes, and these are also called as columns. So these are the column names or attribute names for a real world object, student, or which is represented in the form of a relation, So now we can store the different students data, that is actual data. Suppose student ID is some 511 and his name is Vijay. And next one, his address is Guntur. His mobile number is some 9876543. Suppose next I want you to represent another student information. Suppose some 554. His name is some Anand, and his address is so Vijayawada, and his mobile number is 998564 321 or 9985365432. Suppose another student information is some 460 or 456. His name is some Kiran. So his address is some Gudivada. And next one, his mobile number is 8745321549. Suppose another student name is some 225. His name is Srinivas. And his address is some. So again, his address is Guntur. His mobile number is 598. So this is the way we can store the data in a form of relations. So here in this SID, S name, address, and mobile number. So these are called attributes. Attributes are columns, and this actual data, the student's actual information is called tuples or rows. And here there is no pointers at all. And you can store the rows in any order. There is no pointers here. So you can store the data in any manner. You can retrieve the data in also in any manner. So that's why it is free from pointers, and you can also easily access the data. And next one, some of the terms regarding this relational table is the number of columns in a table or the number of attributes in a table is called degree of the table or the degree of the relation. So here the number of attributes or columns in a relation is called degree. That means what is the degree of this table is 4. It is 4 because 4 columns are there. And next one, the number of tuples or the number of rows in a relation is called cardinality. The number of rows in a relation is called cardinality. Now what is the cardinality for this table or the relation? It is 4 because 4 number of rows are available. And next one, you can also have one more term regarding this, domain. So domain in the sense the set of possible values for a given attribute is called domain. So that means here domain considers only one column. Suppose the set of possible values for a given column, that means S name. So here is are 5 values. So these 5 values are collectively called as a domain. So these are the 3 things you must remember regarding this relational model. Now we'll go to the PowerPoint presentation. So here in relational model, everything is represented in the form of relation. So according to this, we have a simple relation called sensor data. So here the number of attributes is 4 attributes. That means the cardinality, the degree of the relation is called, the degree of the relation is 4 because 4 attributes, 4 columns are there. and the cardinality of this table is the relation is 6, because here there are 6 different rows are available. And next one, the domain. So domain means the set of possible values for a given attribute. So these are the different things regarding relational model, and through this what we are trying to learn is, so here the data is represented in the form of relations, Now we'll see what are the advantages of a relational model, why we need to use this relational model. So here the advantages are, first one, it is simple. So the model is very simple because there is no pointers at all. So you can retrieve the rows in any manner. That means you can access any row from the relation, or you can store the rows in any order. There is no proper order at all. So you can enter any row at any point of time. There is no order. But in the previous case, in a hierarchical model, the data should be entered in a proper order. So first you can create the root node, that is shoes, and next one you may enter the 2 pointers for men's shoes and women's shoes, and next one you can enter so women's shoes categories, and then you can enter men's shoes categories. That is the order you need to follow. So but in the case of relations, there is no such order you need to follow. You can take any row and insert them. There is no proper order you need to maintain. So the data can be entered in any manner. So that's why it is very simple. So it is simple, and also there is no pointers at all. And next one, second advantage is it is scalable. So that means we can model the that means we can enter as many number of rows as we want. So in the case of hierarchical and network model, we can enter the data as many number of memory locations are available. So if there is no memory location, so we cannot add. So because pointers are dealing with addresses, so if you want to use pointers, we need to have sufficient memory. So that hierarchical model and network model stores the data till we are getting the sufficient number of memory addresses. So if there is no memory addresses, we are unable to store the data. So that's why. So that is somewhat typical. So but in the case of a relational model, we can enter as many number of rows as we want, because the data, you can easily add the data to the rows or tables. And next one, another one more advantage is structural independence. That means we can make changes in the database structure without changing the way to access the data. So for this relational model, we can also achieve structural independence. That means once you have created a table in the database by using some DDL statement like data definition language statements, like create table statement. Already you people are working with in a first sessions. So initially you have created a simple table with 3 columns and have entered the data. Entered some data with 3 to 4 rows. After some time, so after 3 classes, so now I wanted to add 2 more rows or 2 more columns for the existing table. So even though you are adding this table, there is no difference for accessing the data. So whatever the commands you have used previously for accessing that relation or table, you can use the same data even after adding 2 or more number of rows, or you can even after you are deleting 2 or more columns from the table. So that is nothing but structural independence. Structural independence means we can make changes in the database structure without changing the way to access the data. So that means initially we have created a table with 3 columns, so and entered some data. After some time, I am trying to I wanted to add 2 more columns for the table, for the same existing table. So now you can easily add 3 more columns for the existing table. So now the table contains 6 columns, and the previously 6 rows or whatever the rows we have entered. So the data is still retained in the table. And now we can also access the data in a same manner. Whatever the commands you have used previously, whatever the commands you have used at the time of table creation for accessing the data, for retrieving the data. So that is nothing but structural independence. Okay, are you follow? I hope everybody understands this advantages of relational model. One is they are simple, and next one you can increase the size of a table at any point of time. That means as many number of rows as we want, and also it achieves structural independence. So you can use the same methods for accessing the data in a table even after removing some columns from the table or adding some new columns to the table. So there is no issues at all. You can use the same measures, you can use the same procedure even after some modifications in a table. So these are the advantages. These are the advantages of relational model. Okay. So this is about these are the different types of data models in database management systems. So I hope everybody understands. So if you have any doubt, so please go through the chat box. So meanwhile, I'm waiting 1 minute. Anyone, please respond. Anybody from Triple E or ECE? So anyone, please respond. Okay, okay, man. Okay. So you please respond in a proper manner. So otherwise, I will not continue. So because how can I understand? So whether you are having any doubt or not. So if anybody responding, so I will move on to the further. Or if you have any doubt, so you please raise through the chat box. So because you are non-CSC people. Okay, 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 okay. Next one, we'll move on to this. Uh, the types of users in a database. Types of users in a database. So database is nothing but it is a centralized maintenance of data. It's a central store where all the data is maintained at one location. So if any person who uses the database or takes the benefits from the database is considered as a database user. So if anyone working with the database, that means uh, may uses the database or may takes benefits from the database is considered as a database user. So generally we have different types of users are there. So because database provides more and more security and also provides roles to the users for providing the different views for the users. Already we have seen that in a view level, in levels of abstraction. So all are not having the same views because each one is having some restrictions. Each one is having some restrictions based on their roles, based on their roles. Somebody are students, somebody are faculty, and some are HOD, some are working as deans, and some are a principal. So chairman, so everything. So because different people are in a organization, so they are having some restrictions. Based on their restrictions, they can view only the data. So based on this, so we will categorize these users into different groups or different things. So here these are nothing but database users, and they can be a programmer, scientists, engineers, business people, or can be an employee, whatever it is. So who are working with or who are taking benefits from the database. So generally the database users are seven different categories, seven different things. One is database administrator, second one database designers, third one system analysts, and fourth one application programmers, fifth one sophisticated users, and sixth one naive users or parametric users, seventh one is casual or temporary users. So the entire database users are divided into these seven categories. One is database administrators, second one designers, third one analysts, fourth one programmers, fifth one sophisticated users, sixth one naive users or parametric users, and seventh one casual or temporary users. These are categorized based on the interaction with the database, what type of activities they are doing with the database when they are interacting with the, when they are approaching the database systems. So based on this, so now we'll see each and every user. So what they are doing. So what is their role and responsibilities when they are approaching the database and when they are working with the database. So now we'll move on to the first one, database administrator. So I hope everybody understand what is database user. So any person who uses the database or taking the benefits from the database is nothing but database user. And next one, first is database administrator, or simply call it as DBA. You can also call it as DBA. So here he is the whole and soul person for the database. He is the super user. He is responsible for managing the overall database management system, like super user of the system. He can do anything and everything with the database. So the total, the entire database under his control. So he's just like our chairman sir for our organization. So he can do anything. So like here also our DBA is similar. He's a super user and he's a whole and soul for the database, and he can do anything with the database. He can do anything with the database. So some of the responsibilities or roles performed by the DBA is, one is he can deciding the instances for the database, deciding the instances for the database. Instance in the sense sub schema or view. So what is the view for each and every user? Suppose our database contains 3000 students information. So every student is not visible to the all persons. So there is some restrictions. So here the view is different for each and every person. So that is student can only view his data. So every student can only view his data only. Whereas when you are coming for the next higher level, faculty can view only a class students who are handling with. Next one, HODs, department HODs. So department HOD can only view his department student details, even though the database contains 3000 information, 3000 students information. He can only view only his students information. So next one, dean sir. So dean sir will have some access to all the students as well as some employees information. So what are his salaries? So like principal. So principal having all the departments data. He can view all the 3000 students information. So when you're this is the manner we can set the views. Who can view to what students information at what level. So that is nothing but deciding the instances or the views for the database. And next one, it can also defining the schema. Defining the schema means the overall architecture of the database. What are the number of tables needs to be created and how much amount of data you need to store. So that means you can decide the entire database. What are the tables need to be added and what are the data to be created. So all these responsibility, what are the relationships, how to create those relationships, and all these are maintained by DBA. And next one, granting authorization for data access. Granting authorization for data access. Okay, giving the views. So what is the roles? So who can view which data is maintained? So what is his permissions? And next one, who can do which activity? So here some people are, all the people are there, but some are viewing the data, some are inserting the data. Suppose office staff is there, so some people are, they are entering the students data, some are viewing the data. HODs will view the data, whereas office clerks will enter the data. That means what is their authorization? So this authorization is also maintained by DBA. And next one, managing the database users and security. So he can create the users and their roles, assigning roles. Next one, routine maintenance. So routine maintenance in the sense he can do the backup. He can do the backup in the sense creating another copy for the existing database, because data is very secured, or data is very important for the organization. If data is lost, everything is lost. If data is lost, everything is lost for an organization. That's why we need to take a second copy or third copy or backup for the existing database. Even the current system is failed, even the current system is failed, or the hard disk is corrupted, we need to use the database, we need to get the database same values. So that's why we need to take a backup, we need to create a copy for the existing database. So that is nothing but backup. And also some regular tasks, copying the data, some managing the data, inserting, deleting. So like different tasks can be performed by this and comes under this routine maintenance. And also another task performed by this DBA is new software installation. Suppose if any additional component is required to create reports or for generating the reports, so that is also installed by the DBA. And next one, monitoring the database server's health and also tuning the database accordingly. So server's health, how our server is nothing but it's a simple machine where the entire data is stored and which is available to different users, or simply you can call it as server. Means it is a shareable thing. So if anything is placed in the server, that can be accessible to everyone who are authorized, So our database administrator will monitor the server's health. So whether the system is working properly or not. So whether it is exhibiting proper performance or not, whether it is responding the user request properly. Suppose if server is having less memory, if you are trying to access the data, so what is happening? The website will respond in a poor manner, in a too late. So because of the servers is having lack of memory, it is unable to handle the multiple requests at the same time. So this database servers, how the system is performing, whether it is running fastly or slowly, or whether it running properly or not. So that is also maintained or monitored by the DBA. And if it is slow, he can take the necessary measures. You can take the precautionary measures and take the system and to make the system working in a proper manner. That means tuning in the sense according. Tuning in the sense you may take the necessary activities. If the database is running in a poor or in a slow manner, he can add some more memory to the system and restart the system. Restarting the system. So the system will again run in a faster manner because we are adding some more amount of memory to the system. So these are the different types of activities performed by the DBA, because he is the whole and soul person, or he is the super user for the entire database. He can do everything and anything with the system. And some of the responsibilities of the DBA is, one is creating instances, second one is creating schemas, third one is granting of authorization, third one is managing the users and their security, fifth one is routine maintenance like taking the backups, restarting the system, so shutting down the systems, restarting the system. So like next one, new software installation, and next one, last one is monitoring the database systems health. and if there is any discrepancies, if there is any performance issues, so you can take the measures, you can tune that accordingly. So these are the different activities performed by the DBA. He is the full and sole user. So okay, are you follow or not? So if you have any doubt regarding this responsibilities of the DBA, so you please go through the chat box. So now we'll see another remaining users. I hope everybody understands. So now we'll see another users. That is second category is database designers. Database designers. So database designers design the appropriate structure for the database where we share the data. So that means so the database administrator so will create all the tables in the database, like he can execute all the DDL statements, like all the create table statements, alter table statements, and all these. But for before that, we need to have some table structures. What are the tables and their attributes, and what is the data, and what is the fixed formats? All these are created by the database designers. So tables and their relationships and all these are initially created by this database designers. So next one, system analyst. System analyst represents the requirements of the end users, especially what is for naive users and parametric end users. They are responsible for design, structure, and properties of the database. So here, in database designers will generate the table structures. So before that, before generating the tables, first we need to understand the system. We need to understand the requirement of the end user, how the data, how the structure of a database is needs to be, how they are working with, what are the tables required, what are the columns required. So these are all listened by the system analyst and analyze the problem. They will analyze the problem according to the end user requirements and create the structures. Create the structures. That means, sir, I wanted to create a database for VVIT college. So here, for creating database for the VVIT college, what we need first, what is the requirements for our database? Who should contain? So what type of information I need to place? So all this is we are given to the analyst. The analyst will analyze our problem and extract the contents, extract the real world objects from our problem. So now our VVIT is a college. So what this actually contains? So VVIT is a college means it's a collection of students, employees, and some library, books, and all these things. So when they are listening VVIT database, so they will analyze and extract this values, students, employees. So next one, library, that means books. And whenever college, so employees are relating to different branches, so like ECE, so triple E, so mechanical, civil, CSE, information technology, like all this. So once you're identifying this objects, then they will identify the properties or attributes for each and every one. Suppose student, so students are student name, student ID, address, so like different. Suppose next one, employees, employee name, employee ID, so his salary, address, designation. Like next one, a branch, so branch in the sense, so branch name, branch ID, so the number of specializations. And next one, books, book name, so book ID, so I title, author, edition, sorry, book edition, so cost, and all these things. And next one, once you are identifying all this, next their relationship. So even though students are there, so some students are relating to triple E branch, some students are relating to ECE branch, and some students are relating to CSE branch. So now next step is to establish these relationships. So these relationships are maintained by using some constraints. And next one, some conditions. Suppose when you are coming to the salary, so salary, minimum salary should be 7,500 and maximum salary should be 2,50,000. So all these information should be analyzed. So these things, this analyzation can be performed by the system analyst. So once you're analyzing this information by the analyst, so this uh, theoretical values are converted into some tables by using database designers. So database designers will create the table structure. So those table structures are turned into some DDL commands by DBA administrator. So this is the way we will solve the specific problem for creating a database for our organization. So these are the three different users. And next one, I hope everybody understands. Is there any doubt regarding this system analyst and designers? You please go through the chat box. And next one, the fourth category is application programmers. Application programmers are nothing but they are the computer professionals who write application programs. So these are purely working with programming languages. So like C, C++, Java, PHP, Python, like. So by using this, we will interact with the database. So here, generally, a database consists of tables, and to insert the data into the database, we need to learn some commands like insert into table statement. So for creating the database table, we need to learn create table statement. For retrieving the data from a table, so we need to learn select star from table name. So like all these statements you need to learn, but these are unable to learn by some end users. So now how they interacting with our database? So we need to create some interfaces. We need to create some interfaces which are easier to understand. So those are nothing but graphical user interface. For example, when you are trying to book a ticket through IRCTC website, so actually all this information, so that for reserving a ticket, first you need to enter from source station and destination station, and next one, so you can search. So all this information is where this information is available in database, but we are unable to find the database location, but we don't know how to extract data from the database. What we know is we know only English. So with that English, how to return, how to book a ticket. So if we are having some graphical user interfaces with some pictorial representations, those pictorial representations are created by this application programmers. So by going through that website, we just enter some appropriate information in text boxes and clicking on buttons. So we get the information. So when you are writing something, when you are typing some English words, so these English words are entered into that particular text boxes and pressing some button. So internally some program is activated, and that program will read your data and hand over to the IRCTC website, IRCTC database. The database will receive your data and process your data and again sends the result back. So in the middle, we have some internal processing is there. So for that, we need some programs. We need some explicit programs. So those programs are written by our application programmers. So those are in the form of C programs, C++ programs, Java programs, PHP programs, Python programs, like. So through which we can interacting with the database. So these are the application programmers. Application programmers. Okay, are you follow? Next one. Sorry. Another one is, and fifth category is sophisticated users. Sophisticated users can be engineers, scientists, business analysts who are familiar with the database. So they know the database and they how to use the database. So they are using the database to improve their business. Suppose some employees, managers, or general managers of a particular store. Suppose Big Bazaar is there. So Big Bazaar having multiple branches across the India. So here a general manager, a CEO at a particular location. So how they are interacting with this? So they know the database. So how they are interacting with this? By ensuring some commands, by entering some commands, and they can get the data. They will analyze the day-wise data or month-wise data or year-wise data, and analyzing their data by interacting with them, interacting with the database, and they make decisions how to improve their business. Suppose uh, which stores are running more effectively and which stores are getting lost because the users are not coming, the customers are not coming because of some reasons. So what are those? So and which products are heavily sold at a particular location? So and which commodities are not sold out, not sold out in a particular region? So what are the reasons? So all these are analyzed by the business analysts to improve the businesses. So these are nothing but these are the sophisticated users. They are working with the database. So by using the programs which are written by the application programmers. So these are the sophisticated users. They will analyze the database to improve their businesses, to improve their businesses. How to improve? So actually the end. So okay, we'll see in the next one. Naive users are parametric users. So naive users are nothing but unsophisticated users who have no knowledge of the database. They know only English. They know only English. They know only how to type the data. So these are nothing but naive users are parametric users, or you can they can also call them as end users. They just simply use the database with the help of graphical user interface. So they are the end users of the database who work through the menu-driven applications. Menu-driven applications, like for example, railway ticket booking users or booking clerks. They are the naive users, or clerical staff in any bank is a naive user. They don't know the database, how the data is stored in the database, how the data is extracted from the database. So like they don't know anything. They just use the graphical user interfaces. So by using the graphical user interfaces, they can work with the data. Suppose when you're asking, when you're going through a railway ticket uh, reservation counter, you want to book a ticket. So you can go through a simple form and hand over that form, fill that form and hand over to the railway ticket, railway booking clerk. The booking clerk will enter your train number and on a particular text box and press submit. So whenever you pressing submit, automatically all the details regarding that uh, uh, train number will extracted. So here the railway ticket clerk doesn't know anything. What is database and what is stored in that? So what are the attributes? So it doesn't know anything. He just know only English. By entering that English and pressing some buttons, he can use the database. So these are nothing but end users or parametric users. And last one is casual users or temporary users. So these are also end users, but they use the database for a little amount of time. They use a database for little amount of time. So that means you can book a ticket in two ways. One is through the railway counter and also by using website. So here the clerks are continuously using the railway ticket website. They are the naive users or end users, whereas we are using that sorry we are using that website only a particular period of time whenever we want to book a ticket. Once a ticket is booking, we simply leave that application. So that's why we are the casual users or temporary users. So these are the different categories of database users. These are the different categories of database users. So I hope everybody understands the types of users in the database system. So if you have any doubt, so regarding this data models and database users, you please go through the chat box. If you have any doubt, so you please raise my. So I'm waiting for your messages. Meanwhile, I am trying to retrieve the. I'm trying to download your attendance. I please respond. If you have any doubt regarding this database, I hope everybody understands this. What is data model and what are the different types of users. If you have any doubt, please go through the chat box. We'll try to clarify.